We're moving in on Sunday. My wife's brother who nearly destroyed my life grinned. Your wife already approved. I reached for my phone. The security system pinged motion detected, trespassing. Recorded. Then, look, I'm not saying I'd rather be getting a root canal without anesthesia, but Sunday dinners at the in-laws' place are pretty damn close. Picture this. I'm sitting at this ridiculously polished mahogany dining table that probably costs more than my first car, trying to look like I'm actually enjoying this pot roast that tastes like someone boiled a shoe in disappointment. My mother-in-law, Diane, keeps shooting me these looks like she's waiting for me to proclaim it's the best meal I've ever had, and honestly, I'd rather eat my own wallet. At least that would have some flavor from all the money Trent's borrowed over the years. I'm doing the mental math, you know? The kind every guy does at these forced family gatherings. If dessert comes out in 20 minutes, and we spend another 15 doing that awkward, no really, I couldn't eat another bite, dance that everyone does before eating 3 more servings, I can be home by 8:30. Maybe catch the end of the game. Maybe actually enjoy what's left of my Sunday. It's the little victories that keep you going, right? My wife Claire is sitting next to me, pushing green beans around her plate like she's trying to spell out SLS in Morse code. Her dad, Richard, is going on and on about some golf tournament at the country club, and I'm nodding along like a bobblehead, throwing in the occasional, oh wow, and that's something, while my soul slowly leaves my body. This is what marriage is, folks. Sitting through stories about a sport you don't play with people you didn't choose, all while pretending pot roast is actually edible. Then, right when I think we might actually make it through this peacefully boring dinner without incident, the front door basically explodes open. And I mean that figuratively, but honestly, the way Trent enters rooms, you'd think he's expecting a mariachi band to start playing his entrance theme. This guy barges in like he's storming the beaches of Normandy, except instead of courage and determination, he's armed with entitlement and that stupid smirk that makes me want to throw my dinner roll at his face. Hey fam, Trent announces, because apparently, we're all living in a bad reality show now. He's trailing behind him what looks like a traveling circus. His wife Karen, and yes, the irony of her name is not lost on me, and their 3 kids who have apparently been dipped in maple syrup before arrival. I watch in horror as one of them immediately touches Diane's cream-colored couch with what appears to be jelly-covered hands. The other 2 are already fighting over who gets to press all the buttons on Richard's vintage sound system. Trent doesn't even apologize for being late. Doesn't acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, barging into someone's dinner party an hour late with sticky children is slightly rude. Nope. He just plops down in the empty chair like he's doing us all a favor by gracing us with his presence, and immediately starts loading up a plate like he hasn't eaten in weeks. The man attacks that pot roast like it insulted his mother, which, considering Diane's cooking, maybe it did. So, Trent says through a mouthful of food that I really didn't need to see. Got some exciting news, everyone. He's grinning now, that game show host grin that makes my stomach drop faster than a lead balloon. Nothing good has ever followed that grin. Last time I saw that grin, he was asking to borrow my truck for a quick errand that turned into a cross-country move that left my truck looking like it had gone through a demolition derby. Claire tenses up next to me. Even she knows something bad is coming, and this is her brother. That's how predictable Trent is. Even his own family can smell the disaster brewing. We're moving into Marcus and Claire's Lakehouse, he announces, spreading his arms wide like he's just revealed the winning lottery numbers. This Sunday. Isn't that great? We figured we could use a little getaway spot, and Sis already said we could crash there for a while. I nearly inhale my gravy. Like, full-on choking, coughing, the whole 9 yards. My eyes are watering, and I'm pretty sure a piece of pot roast just went down the wrong pipe. But that's nothing compared to the absolute nuclear bomb this jackass just dropped on our Sunday dinner. The Lakehouse. My Lakehouse. The property I saved for years to buy. The place I spent every weekend last summer fixing up. The sanctuary I created specifically to get away from people like Trent. And he's just decided he's moving in. This Sunday. As in, 6 days from now. I turn to look at Claire, waiting for her to jump in with a no. That's not what I said. Or at Trent. We need to talk about this first, or literally anything that indicates she hasn't completely lost her mind. But she's just staring at her plate like she's discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls hidden under her mashed potatoes. Won't even make eye contact with me. just keep studying those green beans like they hold the secrets to the universe. Oh, this is bad. This is so bad. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Diane practically shrieks, clapping her hands together like Trent just announced he's curing cancer instead of planning to freeload off his sister and brother-in-law. Again, Richard is beaming, actually beaming, nodding along like this is the best news he's heard all year. Really generous of you two to help out family, Richard says, looking at me with this expression that's half pride, half warning. Like I'm supposed to be thrilled about this development. Like I should be grateful for the opportunity to have Trent and his sticky offspring invade my personal space. I'm sitting here, fork frozen halfway to my mouth, trying to process this absolute insanity. Trent is explaining which bedrooms his kids have already picked out. Like this is a done deal. Like my opinion doesn't matter. Like the fact that I actually own the property is just a minor technicality. The master bedroom has that great view. So Karen and I figured we'd take that, Trent continues, and I swear to God, if this table wasn't so expensive, I'd flip it. The kids are fighting over the loft space, but we'll figure it out. Might need to pick up some bunk beds. Marcus, you cool with that? Am I cool with that? I'm currently calculating if I can fake my own death and start a new life in Canada where nobody knows about pot roast dinners or in-laws who give away your property without asking. But here's the thing. I've learned something over the years of dealing with Trent. Losing your cool is exactly what he wants. He wants the drama, the explosion, the big scene where I'm the bad guy who ruins Sunday dinner. So instead, I do something that clearly nobody at this table expects. I smile. Well, I say, setting down my fork with deliberate calm. That sounds like quite the plan you've got there, Trent. His grin falters just a tiny bit. He wasn't expecting agreement. None of them were. And that's when I realize, this Sunday dinner just got interesting. Time to show Trent that I'm done being the pushover brother-in-law. Time to show him that my Lakehouse isn't his personal vacation rental. Time to show everyone at this table exactly what happens when you push Marcus too far. But first, I'm going to finish this terrible pot roast. Because if I'm going to war with my brother-in-law, I'm going to need all the strength I can get, even if it tastes like boiled disappointment. Trent is still talking. Of course he is. The man could talk through a nuclear apocalypse and somehow make it about himself. He's going on and on about how the kids are so excited, how they've already been looking at the Lakehouse photos on Claire's Facebook, how little Jaden wants to learn to fish and Madison wants to try paddleboarding. He's painting this whole Norman Rockwell picture of his family frolicking at MY property like they're the stars of some heartwarming summer commercial. We were thinking we'd take the master bedroom since, we've got the whole family, Trent says, gesturing with his fork like he's conducting an orchestra. That way the kids can spread out in the other rooms. Oh, and Marcus, buddy, you mind if we move some of your fishing gear? We're going to need that storage space for Karen's craft supplies. Karen. Oh yeah. Karen is nodding along like this is all perfectly reasonable. She's got that smile plastered on her face, the one that says she's already mentally redecorating my lake house in that awful shabby chic style she's obsessed with. I can practically see the live, laugh, love signs appearing on my walls like a plague. The kids have already called dibs on bedrooms, Trent continues, and I notice he's now moved on to his second helping of pot roast. The man eats like he's training for a competitive eating contest. Jaden wants the blue room because it's got the best Wi-Fi signal. Smart kid, right? Madison is fighting with Tyler over the loft, but we figured Tyler's older, so he gets priority. He's literally planning out my entire house like it's a game of Monopoly, and he just landed on Park Place. My blood pressure is probably spelling out curse words right now. Diane and Richard are still beaming like proud parents at a kindergarten graduation. Claire has now moved from studying her plate to examining her napkin like it's the Shroud of Turin. Oh, and we'll probably need to use your boat, Trent adds casually, like he's asking to borrow a cup of sugar. The kids are dying to get out on the water. You still have that wakeboard, right? Tyler's been wanting to learn. My wakeboard. The one I saved up for. The one I specifically bought after Trent borrowed my last one and returned it with a crack down the middle and a half-hearted whoops, my bad bro. This is it. This is the moment where old Marcus would have swallowed his rage, nodded politely, and spent the next 6 months being a doormat while Trent turned my lake house into his personal resort. Old Marcus would have looked at Claire's desperate, please don't make a scene, face and backed down. Old Marcus would have calculated that keeping the peace was worth more than keeping his dignity. But you know what? Old Marcus is dead. He died somewhere between the bald tires on my truck and the $12,000 investment opportunity that mysteriously evaporated. He's been replaced by new Marcus, and new Marcus is done playing nice. I reach into my jacket pocket. Yeah, I wore a jacket to Sunday dinner because I'm not a barbarian like some people, and pull out my phone. The movement is casual, almost bored, like I'm just checking the time or scrolling through emails. But I'm pulling up my security app, the one connected to every camera I installed at the Lakehouse last month. Ping. The sound cuts through Trent's monologue like a knife through butter. Everyone looks at me. I smile, looking down at my phone screen where I can see crystal clear footage of my lake house. Every angle, every entry point, time-stamped and recording to the cloud. Motion detected at Lakehouse property. I read aloud from the notification, my voice dripping with fake concern. Huh, that's weird. Nobody should be there right now. Trent's fork pauses halfway to his mouth. Just for a second. But I catch it. Probably just a deer or something, Richard says dismissively, but I can see the question in his eyes. Maybe, I say, still scrolling through my phone with theatrical interest. Good thing I have cameras covering every inch of the property now, inside and out. All recording to secure cloud storage. You know, for insurance purposes. The temperature in the room drops about 10 degrees. Trent's smirk wavers like a candle in the wind. Karen has stopped nodding. Even the kids seem to sense something shifted because they've actually stopped destroying things for a whole 30 seconds. Cameras? Diane asks, her voice tight. That seems a bit excessive, doesn't it? Not really, I say cheerfully, finally looking up from my phone to make eye contact with Trent, especially for a property that's about to undergo major renovations. Which reminds me, I reach into my other pocket. Yes, I came prepared, sue me, and pull out a folder. It's one of those professional-looking ones, the kind lawyers use. I've had it sitting in my car for the past week, just waiting for the right moment. And brother, this moment is so right it should be illegal. I slide the folder across the polished table, right past the gravy boat and the sad remains of the pot roast, until it stops directly in front of Trent. He stares at it like I just slid him a live grenade. What's this? He asks, trying to keep his voice light, but I can hear the uncertainty creeping in. Open it, I say, leaning back in my chair and taking a slow, deliberate sip of water. I'm savoring this moment like it's a perfectly aged wine, not lukewarm tap water in a fancy glass. Trent opens the folder. I watch his face as he processes what he's seeing. It's like watching someone realize they've been playing poker with a guy who's been counting cards the whole time. The color drains from his face slowly, starting at his forehead and working its way down to his chin. These are, he starts, renovation contracts. I finish for him. All signed, sealed, and paid for. The contractors start Monday morning at 7 a.m. sharp. Full gut renovation of the entire lake house. New plumbing, new electrical, new floors, new everything. It's going to be a construction zone for the next 3 months. Maybe 4 if we hit any unexpected issues, which, you know, we probably will. Old houses are funny that way. The silence that follows is so profound I can hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Each second is absolutely beautiful. 3 months. Karen squeaks, and it's the first time she's sounded anything other than enthusiastically entitled all evening. At least, I confirm, nodding seriously. Could be longer. Depends on permits, weather, supply chain issues. You know how it is. Construction is unpredictable. I pause for effect, then deliver the killing blow with a smile that could cut glass. So I guess your big Sunday sleepover is canceled, buddy. Real shame. The kids were so excited. Trent's mouth is opening and closing like a fish that just realized it's not actually in water. His face is cycling through emotions faster than a slot machine. Confusion, anger, disbelief, and my personal favorite, impotent rage. But, Claire said, he starts, turning to his sister desperately. Claire, bless her heart, is now examining the ceiling like she's never seen one before. Fascinating ceiling, apparently. Really riveting stuff up there. Claire mentioned you might want to use the place sometime. I say helpfully, my voice so sweet it could give someone diabetes. And I thought, you know what? She's right. Families should be able to enjoy the lake house. Which is why I'm renovating it. Making it absolutely perfect. State of the art. By the time we're done, it'll be like something out of a magazine. You're welcome. Marcus. Richard starts, his voice taking on that authoritative father-in-law tone that's supposed to make me fall in line. Surely you can delay the renovations. Already paid the deposit. I interrupt, still smiling. Non-refundable. $50,000. Gone. Poof. But it's worth it, right? For family. I take another sip of water, and I swear to God, it tastes like champagne. Like victory. Like every time I've bitten my tongue and swallowed my pride is finally paying dividends. Trent is staring at the contracts like they personally insulted his mother. Pages and pages of legal documentation, contractor signatures, permit numbers, timeline projections. All legitimate. All binding. All starting Monday morning, which, in case anyone's counting, is exactly 1 day before his planned invasion. You did this on purpose, Trent says, and there it is. The accusation. The victimhood. Classic Trent. Did what on purpose? I ask innocently. Planned renovations on my own property? Improved my own investment? Tried to make the Lakehouse even better for when family wants to visit. You know, after calling ahead and actually asking permission like normal human beings. Even the pot roast looks embarrassed at this point. Diane's face is doing this weird thing where she can't decide if she should be angry at me or disappointed in Trent. Richard is gripping his fork so tight I'm worried he might bend it. The kids have wandered off to destroy something else. Bless their oblivious little hearts. And Trent? Trent's smirk has completely evaporated. Gone. Vanished like my patience every time this man opens his mouth. He's sitting there, folder open, staring at proof that his brilliant plan to mooch off me has just imploded spectacularly. I lean forward slightly, just enough to make sure he can see the absolute satisfaction in my eyes. Guess you should have asked first, huh? You know what? Let me back up here for a second, because I need you to understand that this dinner table showdown didn't just happen out of nowhere. This isn't me being a jerk for the sake of being a jerk. No. This is the culmination of years of Trent treating my life like his personal all-you-can-eat buffet. And trust me, the man has quite an appetite. Let's start with the truck incident, shall we? Classic Trent. This was about 3 years ago, right after Claire and I got married. I just bought myself a beautiful Ford F-150, midnight blue, barely 3 months old. Still had that new car smell, you know? The kind that makes you feel like you've finally made it as an adult. I loved that truck more than I loved most of my relatives. Still do, honestly. Trent calls me up on a Tuesday afternoon. Hey, bro. He always calls me bro when he wants something. Can I borrow your truck this weekend? Just need to move a few things. Super quick. I'll have it back to you by Sunday, promise. A few things. Super quick. Those words should have been accompanied by warning sirens and flashing red lights. But I was young and stupid and still thought that being a good brother-in-law meant saying yes to everything. So I said yes. Handed him my keys like an idiot, watched him drive away, and figured I'd see my truck in a couple days. Sunday rolls around. No truck. Monday. No truck. Tuesday I'm calling him like, hey, Trent, where's my truck? And he's all casual about it, like, oh yeah, man, took a little longer than expected. Need it for a few more days. I finally got my truck back 2 weeks later. 2 weeks. And when I say I got it back, I mean I got back a vehicle that looked like it had been through a war zone. The tires were so bald they were basically racing slicks. There was a mysterious dent in the passenger door that Trent swore was already there. It wasn't. The interior smelled like a combination of stale French fries, wet dog, and broken dreams. And the gas tank? Empty. Completely empty. I had to put $20 in just to drive it to a gas station. But here's the kicker. When I asked him about the tires, you know what he said? Oh yeah, I drove it to Colorado and back. Beautiful drive, man. You should try it sometime. Colorado. He took my 3-month-old truck on a cross-country road trip without asking and returned it with tires so worn I could see the steel belts. Cost me $800 to replace all 4. Did he offer to pay? Did he apologize? Nope. He gave me a pat on the shoulder and said, thanks for being a team player, bro. Team player. Like borrowing someone's truck without permission and destroying it is some kind of group sport. But wait, there's more. Because Trent isn't just a one-hit wonder. Oh no. This man is consistent in his freeloading. He's like the Michael Jordan of mooching, truly elite at his craft. Let's talk about the $12,000. Yes, you read that right. $12,000. This was maybe a year and a half ago. Trent comes to me with this investment opportunity that he swears is going to change our lives. Some buddy of his is starting a craft brewery, and they need capital, and if we invest now, we'll triple our money in 6 months. Now, I'm not a complete moron. I ask questions. I wanted to see a business plan and corporation documents, something that proved this wasn't just 3 guys with a dream and a homebrew kit in someone's garage. And Trent, God bless him, had answers for everything. Showed me some official-looking papers. Talked about market research and distribution deals. Really sold me on it. So I wrote him a check for $12,000. That was my savings for the down payment on the Lakehouse, by the way. Money I'd been squirreling away for 2 years. But Trent was family, and this was supposedly a sure thing. And Claire gave me this hopeful look like maybe her brother was finally getting his act together. Spoiler alert, he wasn't. 6 months go by. I'm asking about returns on the investment. Trent's dodging my calls. When I finally pin him down, he hits me with the classic. Oh man, the brewery thing fell through. Total bummer. But hey, we'll get him next time, right? Next time. Like I'm just going to keep a revolving line of credit open for his harebrained schemes. I asked him when I could expect my money back, and he looked at me like I'd just asked him to explain quantum physics. It's gone, bro. That's how investments work sometimes. Win some, lose some. Except I lost $12,000 and he lost nothing because it wasn't his money. Funny how that works. When I pressed him on it, asked for details about where exactly the money went, he got all defensive and started talking about how families should support each other without keeping score. Without keeping score. This coming from a guy who still brings up that time I ate the last piece of birthday cake at his kid's party 3 years ago. I never saw a penny of that $12,000. Not 1 cent. And you know what really burns me? About 6 months after the brewery fell through, I saw on Facebook that Trent and Karen took a month-long vacation to Hawaii. But sure, the money just vanished into thin air. Totally unrelated, I'm sure. And then there's my personal favorite, the great couch surfing episode. This masterpiece of freeloading happened about 2 years ago. Trent calls me up, voice all serious, tells me he and Karen had a major fight, and he needs a place to crash for a few days. Just until things cool down. Maybe a week, tops. Being the bleeding heart sucker that I was, I said yes. Cleared out the guest room, set up fresh sheets, told him to make himself at home. That was my first mistake. Trent takes "make yourself at home" as a literal instruction manual. The few days turned into a week. The week turned into 2 weeks. Before I knew it, Trent had been living on my couch for a month and showed no signs of leaving. He'd somehow accumulated more stuff in my house than I owned. His laundry was perpetually in my washing machine. He ate my food, drank my beer, and treated my living room like his personal man cave. I'd come home from work and find him sprawled on my couch in his underwear, playing video games on my TV, surrounded by pizza boxes and energy drink cans like some kind of slob nest. Hey bro, he'd say without looking away from the screen. Can you grab me a beer while you're up? While I'm up. In my house. After working a 10-hour shift, Claire kept making excuses for him. He's going through a tough time, Marcus. He'll leave soon. But soon kept getting later and later. I'd hint about him maybe looking for his own place, and he'd get all sad and talk about how nice it was to have family support during this difficult period. Finally, after 5 months, count him, 5, Karen showed up at my door one Saturday morning, asking where Trent was. Turns out they'd made up after 3 days. 3 days. He'd been using the "we had a fight" excuse to freeload off me for almost half a year when he could have gone home at any point. When I confronted him about it, you know what he said? "Oh, I figured you knew we made up. I was just enjoying the bachelor pad vibes, you know? Thought you liked having me around." Bachelor pad vibes. In my house. The house I shared with his sister. The audacity of this man could power a small city. There are more stories. So many more. The time he borrowed my lawnmower and returned it broken. The time he asked me to co-sign a loan and then defaulted, tanking my credit score. The time he volunteered me to help him move without actually asking me first, and I showed up to what I thought was a casual hangout only to find a U-Haul and 16 boxes of his crap. Every single time, it's the same pattern. Trent needs something. Trent asks for it with a smile, and it just this once, bro. Trent gets what he wants. Trent either breaks it, loses it, or conveniently forgets to return it. And then Trent acts like I'm the unreasonable one if I dare to bring it up later. The man operates on the principle that families should help each other out, which would be beautiful and heartwarming if it wasn't completely one-directional. It's always me helping him, never him helping me. When my car broke down last year and I needed a ride to work for a few days, Trent was suddenly super busy with a lot going on. But when he needs my truck for a mystery 2-week road trip, oh, then we're brothers for life. And the worst part? Claire's family enables it. Every single time. Diane makes excuses. That's just how Trent is. Richard talks about the importance of family loyalty. They act like Trent's chronic inability to be a functioning adult is some kind of charming quirk instead of a pattern of selfish behavior that's been going on for his entire adult life. Well, guess what? I'm done. Done being the Bank of Marcus. Done being Trent's personal convenience store. Done pretending that family means letting one person take advantage of everyone else while we all smile and nod and act like it's normal. That folder I slapped on the dinner table tonight, those renovation contracts, that wasn't just about the lake house. That was about every single time Trent has walked all over me and expected me to thank him for it. That was years of bald tires and missing money and months on my couch all crystallized into one beautiful moment of not this time, buddy. Because here's the thing about being a team player. It only works when everyone's actually on the same team. And Trent's been playing for Team Trent since day one. He just expected me to keep suiting up and taking losses on his behalf. But those days are over. The renovation starts Monday. The cameras are installed. The boundaries are set. And for the first time in years, I'm not backing down. Trent wants to call me selfish? Fine. I'll be selfish. At least I'll be selfish in my own lake house, with my own stuff, living my own life without a human leech attached to my bank account. Yeah, I'm done being the nice guy. And you know what? It feels pretty damn good. Sunday morning rolls around, and I'm up at 6 a.m. Not because I want to be, nobody wants to be up at 6 on a Sunday, but because I have a feeling. You know that feeling you get when you just know someone's about to do something monumentally stupid? That tingle in your spine that says, today's going to be interesting? Yeah, that feeling. I make myself a giant cup of coffee, the kind that could probably fuel a rocket ship, and I'm out the door by 7. Claire's still asleep, probably hoping that if she stays in bed long enough, this whole situation will resolve itself through the power of wishful thinking. Spoiler alert, it won't. The drive to the lake house takes about 45 minutes, and I spend every single one of them mentally preparing for what I'm about to walk into. Because here's the thing about Trent. The man has never let a little thing like reality get in the way of what he wants. I told him the contractors start Monday. I showed him signed contracts. I basically gift-wrapped the message, "You can't stay here," and handed it to him on a silver platter. But this is Trent we're talking about. Logic and reason bounce off this guy like rubber bullets off Superman. I pull up to the lake house at 7:43 a.m., my truck crunching over the gravel driveway. And what do I see? Oh, it's beautiful. It's like Christmas morning for vindictive people. There, blocking half my driveway like a beached whale, is a massive U-Haul moving truck. And I'm not talking about one of those cute little cargo vans. No. This is a full-size, 26-foot moving truck, the kind you rent when you're moving your entire life across 3 states. And standing next to it, directing traffic like he's an air traffic controller at O'Hare, is Trent. I park my truck at the bottom of the driveway, can't get any closer because of the U-Haul situation, and just sit there for a moment, sipping my coffee and watching the show. This is too good. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, except the train is driven by an idiot and the wreck was completely preventable. Trent's got 2 guys with him, presumably the movers he hired. They're standing around looking confused, which, to be fair, seems to be a natural state for anyone who spends more than 5 minutes around Trent. One of them is holding a dolly. The other is scratching his head and looking at the bright orange construction cones that are blocking the rest of the driveway. Oh yeah, the cones. I forgot to mention those. The contractors I hired? They're professionals. They showed up Friday afternoon and set up a whole construction zone perimeter. Cones, caution tape, big signs that say construction zone, no unauthorized entry. Violators will be prosecuted. They even put up one of those portable chain-link fence sections across the front entrance to the property. It's beautiful. Brings a tear to my eye, honestly. I take another long sip of my coffee. I'm really savoring this moment, and watch as Trent gestures wildly at the construction barriers. Even from here, I can hear him. Just move them. They're just cones. It's not that complicated. The movers don't look convinced. The older one, A guy who looks like he's been doing this job for about 30 years and has seen every kind of moving day disaster imaginable, is shaking his head. Smart man. I decide it's time to make my entrance. I step out of my truck, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, and start walking up the driveway. I'm not rushing. Why would I rush? This is entertainment. This is better than anything Netflix has produced in the last 5 years. Morning, Trent. I call out cheerfully, like I'm greeting him at a backyard barbecue instead of catching him red-handed trying to break into my property. Beautiful day for it, isn't it? Trent spins around, and the look on his face is priceless. It's a mixture of guilt, anger, defiance, and, my personal favorite, the dawning realization that his plan is already falling apart. Marcus. Hey man. There's been some kind of mix-up with these construction barriers. Mix-up. He's going with mix-up. This guy could teach masterclasses in delusion. No mix-up? I say pleasantly, coming to a stop about 10 feet away from him. Those are supposed to be there. Construction starts tomorrow, remember? Contractors need the area secured for safety reasons. OSHA regulations and all that. Very important. Right, but we just need to get in for today, Trent says, putting on his most reasonable voice. The one he uses when he's trying to convince you that up is down and black is white. We'll be out of the way by tomorrow. Promise. The guys here, he gestures to the increasingly uncomfortable movers, have this whole thing scheduled. We can't just reschedule a move on short notice. It's a whole thing. I nod sympathetically, like I'm really considering his argument. Wow. Yeah, that sounds complicated. Must have been a real pain to organize all this. Exactly, Trent says, relief flooding his face. He actually thinks I'm caving. Bless his heart. So if you could just move these cones real quick. No. The word hangs in the air like a guillotine blade. Trent blinks at me like I just spoke ancient Sumerian. What? No. I repeat, taking another sip of my coffee. I'm not moving the cones. You're not moving into my lake house. In fact, you're currently trespassing on private property, and I'm going to need you to leave. Trent's face goes through about 17 different emotions in 3 seconds. It's like watching a slot machine spin through all the symbols before landing on jackpot rage. Marcus, come on. Be reasonable. We have permission. From who? I ask, genuinely curious. Because I own this property. Just me. My name on the deed. And I don't remember giving you permission. Claire said. Claire doesn't own this property. I interrupt. I bought it before we got married. It's not marital property. It's mine. And even if it was ours, you'd still need both of our permission, which you definitely don't have. This is the moment where I pull out my phone. Oh, this is the good part. I open up my security app, and there it is, beautiful, high-definition footage of my lake house from multiple angles, all time-stamped, all recording to secure cloud storage. See this? I hold up my phone so Trent can see the screen. Security system. Installed last month. Motion sensors, cameras, the whole 9 yards. And you know what's really cool about it? It has this neat feature where if someone tries to enter the property without authorization, it sends an alert. To me. And to the police. I can see Trent's face getting redder. The movers have taken several steps back, clearly wanting no part of whatever family drama is unfolding here. Can't say I blame them. You're being ridiculous, Trent sputters. We're family. You're being entitled. I counter, my voice still calm, but with an edge now. You decided you were moving into my house without actually asking me. You hired movers, rented a truck, and showed up like it was a done deal. And now you're mad that I'm not just rolling over and letting you bulldoze me? Again, I am not. The truck, I interrupt, pulling out the big guns now. The $12,000. The 5 months on my couch. Should I keep going? Because I've got a list, Trent. A very long list of every time you've treated my stuff like it's your stuff and my life like it's your personal playground. Trent's opening and closing his mouth like a goldfish. Behind him, I see Karen getting out of their SUV, which is parked behind the U-Haul. The kids are tumbling out after her, already arguing about something. This keeps getting better. Marcus, Karen calls out, putting on her best fake sweet voice. There must be some misunderstanding. We talked about this with Claire. She said it would be fine if we stayed here for a few months while we're between houses. Between houses. That's a new one. Last I heard, they had a perfectly functional house about 30 miles from here. But sure, let's call it between houses. Makes the freeloading sound more legitimate. Did she? I ask, looking directly at Karen. Because Claire and I have a funny rule in our marriage. It's called both people have to agree before we let someone move into our property. Crazy concept, I know. You're being petty. Trent snaps, abandoning the reasonable approach for good old-fashioned accusation. This is about Sunday dinner, isn't it? You're still mad about Sunday dinner. I'm not mad about Sunday dinner, I say calmly. I'm mad about you trying to claim my property without permission. I'm mad about you treating my stuff like a community resource. I'm mad about years of you taking and never once considering that maybe, just maybe, you should ask first. My phone buzzes. I glance down at it, and I can't help but smile. It's the security system again, but this time it's the automatic alert that goes out when someone tries to tamper with the entrance barriers. Oh, and Trent. I look up at him, my smile widening. You might want to tell your movers to step away from those cones. The security system just flagged them for attempting to remove authorized construction safety equipment. That's technically a misdemeanor. The older mover immediately drops the cone he was holding like it's radioactive. Man, I don't get paid enough for this, he mutters to his partner. This is insane, Trent shouts, and he's fully red-faced now. You're threatening to call the cops on family? Over a stupid lake house. My stupid lake house, I correct. And yes, I will absolutely call the cops if you don't leave. In fact, I make a show of looking at my watch. You've got about 5 minutes before this goes from awkward family dispute to trespassing charges. Your choice. Karen is trying to corral the kids back into the SUV, clearly sensing that this situation is going south fast. Smart woman. Shame she married an idiot. Trent is staring at me like he's never seen me before. Like the doormat version of Marcus has been replaced by someone he doesn't recognize. And you know what? He's right. He hasn't seen this version of me. Because I've spent years being accommodating and flexible and understanding. Years of swallowing my frustration and letting things slide because family. But those years are over. Smile, Trent, I say, raising my phone and pointing it at him. You're on camera. Say cheese for the police report I'm about to file if you're not gone in 4 minutes. And for once, just this once, Trent doesn't have a comeback. You know what I expected? I expected Trent to tuck his tail between his legs, load everything back into that U-Haul, and drive away in defeat. Because that's what a normal, rational human being would do when confronted with the reality that they're trespassing on someone's property with documented evidence and the very real threat of police involvement. But this is Trent we're talking about. And Trent has never let a little thing like common sense slow him down. Fine, he says, and there's this manic edge to his voice that immediately puts me on alert. Fine, you want to be like this? You want to play hardball? Let's play hardball. Before I can even process what's happening, Trent turns to the movers and starts barking orders. Guys, start unloading. Right here on the lawn. All of it. I blink. Did he seriously just? Trent, I say slowly, like I'm talking to someone who's recently suffered a head injury. What exactly do you think you're doing? You won't let us in the house. Trent's grin is absolutely unhinged now. Fine. We'll camp out here until the construction is done. You can't stop us from being on the property if we're outside the construction zone. Oh, this beautiful idiot. He's actually doing this. He's actually going nuclear. The older mover looks at Trent like he's grown a second head. Sir, I don't think that's. I'm paying you by the hour, Trent snaps. Start unloading. And here's the thing about movers. They get paid to move stuff, not to get involved in family drama. So with visible reluctance and probably some serious doubts about their life choices, they start opening up the back of that U-Haul. I stand there, coffee in hand, watching this train wreck unfold in real time. It's like watching someone punch themselves in the face repeatedly while insisting they're winning the fight. The first piece of furniture to come out is this absolutely hideous antique dresser. I'm talking about a piece of furniture that looks like it murdered several other pieces of furniture and wore their wood as a trophy. It's got to be from the 70s, all dark wood and brass handles that have turned green with age. The movers struggle with it down the ramp, and Trent directs them to place it right smack in the middle of my freshly mowed lawn. My beautiful, perfectly maintained lawn that I spent 3 hours edging and trimming just last weekend. Really? I ask, watching them set down Grandma's dresser right on top of my grass. That's your play? Property destruction? I'm not destroying anything, Trent says smugly. I'm just temporarily storing our belongings on family property while we wait for you to come to your senses. Next comes a velvet sofa. And when I say velvet, I mean the kind of purple crushed velvet that probably caused several disco dancers to have seizures back in 1978. It's hideous. It's lumpy. And based on the smell that's wafting over here, it's been in someone's basement for the last decade collecting must and regret. The movers place it next to the dresser. On my lawn. My perfect lawn that's now becoming a furniture graveyard. You know what's funny about this? I say, pulling out my phone again. You're literally making this so much easier for me. Trent's smirk falters just a hair. What are you talking about? Hold on 1 second. I say, scrolling through my contacts. I find the number I'm looking for and hit dial. It rings twice before someone picks up. Lakeview Auction House. This is Jeremy speaking. Hey Jeremy, this is Marcus Chun. We talked a few weeks ago about possibly donating some items. Oh yes, Mr. Chun. How can I help you today? I'm watching Trent's face as I talk, and it's going through some interesting color changes. Well, I've got a situation here. There's some furniture that's been abandoned on my property without permission. Antique dresser, velvet sofa, and I look at what the movers are now unloading. Is that a waterbed frame? In 2025? Anyway, I was wondering if you could send someone out to pick these items up. I'd like to donate them, with all proceeds going to the veterans' shelter. There's a pause on the other end. Abandoned furniture? Are you sure about that? Oh, absolutely. I say, my eyes locked on Trent, who's gone from smug to alarmed in record time. The owner was explicitly told they couldn't store items on my property, but they did it anyway. That constitutes abandonment under property law. I'm well within my rights to dispose of them as I see fit. Wait. Trent practically shrieks, rushing toward me. You can't do that. That's our stuff. I hold up one finger to shush him, still talking to Jeremy. Yeah, there's someone here yelling about it. But like I said, they were warned. How soon can you get a truck out here? We could have someone there within the hour, Jeremy says, and I can hear him typing. And you want all proceeds going to the veterans' shelter? That's very generous of you. Well, you know what they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And this is definitely someone's trash. Marcus, you cannot donate our furniture. Trent is fully panicking now. Karen has gotten out of the SUV and is speed walking over, her face a mask of horror. Thanks, Jeremy. I'll text you the address. See you in an hour. I hang up and smile at Trent. Congrats, buddy. You just became a philanthropist. Isn't that exciting? Your furniture is going to help veterans. You're a hero. That dresser belonged to my grandmother. Karen shrieks, and wow, I've never heard her voice go that high before. Dogs in the next county probably just perked up their ears. Then maybe you shouldn't have dumped it on my lawn without permission, I say reasonably. I mean, if Grandma's dresser was really that important to you, you probably should have treated it with more respect than using it as a bargaining chip in your husband's temper tantrum. The movers have stopped unloading. They're just standing there, dolly abandoned, watching this soap opera unfold. The older one catches my eye and gives me this tiny nod that says, I've seen some stuff in my day, but this is good. You can't just take our furniture. Trent sputters, and he's doing this thing where he's trying to physically block the dresser, like his body alone can somehow protect it from being donated. Sure I can, I say cheerfully. It's on my property. You put it there against my explicit wishes. That's abandonment. I even have video evidence of you being told not to bring it here. I wave my phone, where the security app is still recording everything. See? Time-stamped and everything. I'm actually being super generous by donating it instead of having it hauled to the dump. The dump. Karen looks like she might actually faint. That dresser is worth thousands. Then you definitely should have stored it somewhere appropriate. I agree. Like a storage unit. Or your house. Or literally anywhere that isn't my front lawn after I explicitly told you not to bring it here. Trent is now trying a different tactic. He runs back to the movers. Stop. Don't unload anything else. Load it all back up. The movers look at each other, then at the furniture already on my lawn, then at their watches. You can practically see them doing the mental math of how much overtime this disaster is going to rack up. Sir, the older mover says carefully, we're going to need to charge you for the additional time. This is now 2 loadings, and we haven't even unloaded half the truck yet. I don't care about the cost. Trent shouts. Just load it back up before he gives away my grandmother's dresser. It's chaos. Beautiful, satisfying chaos. The movers are trying to figure out how to reload furniture, while Karen is hovering around the dresser like a distraught mother protecting her child. Trent is running between the truck and the furniture, trying to supervise multiple disasters at once. The kids have wandered over and are now jumping on the purple velvet sofa, which is definitely not helping its resale value. I stand there, sipping my coffee, which is still somehow perfectly hot. This is the best Sunday morning I've had in years. You know what the really funny part is? I call out to Trent, who's currently trying to lift one end of the dresser by himself while the movers figure out where they put the dolly. If you had just asked nicely, like actually asked instead of announced, we could have figured something out. Maybe you could have rented the place for a fair price. Maybe we could have scheduled a visit for a weekend. But no, you had to go straight to entitled demands and hostile takeover. Trent drops his end of the dresser, probably just scratched the hell out of it. Grandma's rolling in her grave, and turns to face me. His face is so red, he looks like he's about to pop. You're enjoying this. Immensely, I admit. I mean, you drove a moving truck to my house, tried to move in without permission, and then started throwing furniture on my lawn like some kind of deranged home decorator. This is better than reality TV. This is performance art. A truck is pulling up at the bottom of the driveway now. I check my watch. Jeremy's auction house crew is early. Efficient. I like that in a business. That's them. Karen gasps, clutching the dresser like Rose clutching the door in Titanic. Marcus, please. That dresser has been in my family for 3 generations. Then maybe the veterans' shelter will appreciate it more than my lawn does. I say, waving to the auction house guys. Hi. Yeah, all this stuff here. Oh, and whatever else comes out of that U-Haul, apparently. Nothing else is coming out. Trent roars. Sir. One of the movers approaches Trent carefully. We really need a decision here. Do you want us to reload this, or? Trent looks at the movers, then at the auction house crew, then at his furniture spread across my lawn, then at me, standing there with my coffee and my smile and my complete lack of sympathy. Load it. Back. Up, he growls through clenched teeth. Every piece, the mover confirms. Every single piece. I give Jeremy a little shrug as his crew gets ready to leave empty-handed. Sorry for the false alarm. Family drama. You know how it is. No problem at all. Jeremy laughs. This was way more entertaining than our usual Sunday. Call us if you actually need anything picked up. And that's how Trent spent his Sunday morning. Loading, unloading, and reloading the same furniture while his dreams of freeloading died right there on my immaculate lawn. I thought the furniture fiasco was the grand finale of this disaster. I really did. I figured after watching Trent reload Grandma's dresser for the 3rd time while his kids used the purple velvet sofa as a trampoline, everyone would finally accept reality and go home. Maybe grab some brunch, process their feelings, and move on with their lives. But no, because apparently, when one family member fails at a hostile takeover, the solution is to call in reinforcements. I'm sitting on my porch. Yeah, I've got a porch at the Lakehouse. It's gorgeous. Enjoying what I thought would be a peaceful post-victory coffee when I hear it. The unmistakable sound of Richard's Cadillac coming up the gravel drive like a bat out of hell. And right behind it, Diane's Mercedes. They're rolling up like the cavalry in a Western, except instead of saving the day, they're about to make everything infinitely worse. Oh good, the in-laws are here. Just what this situation needed. Richard's car hasn't even fully stopped before he's throwing it into park and climbing out, his face radiating the kind of righteous fury that only a man who's used to getting his way can produce. Diane's right behind him, and she's got her deeply disappointed face on. You know the one. The face that's supposed to make you feel like you just kicked a puppy while an angel wept. Marcus, Richard's voice booms across the property. What in God's name do you think you're doing? I take a slow sip of my coffee. Morning, Richard. Diane. Beautiful day, isn't it? Really peaceful out here. Well, it was. Don't you dare take that tone with me, Richard snaps, marching toward the porch like a general approaching the enemy camp. Trent called us. He told us everything. This is absolutely unacceptable. What's unacceptable? I ask mildly. Me not letting him break into my house. Me enforcing basic property rights. Me expecting to be asked before someone moves into my lake house. Which part of that strikes you as unreasonable? Diane puts her hand on Richard's arm, playing good cop to his bad cop. It's a routine they've perfected over decades of getting their way through a combination of intimidation and emotional manipulation. Marcus, sweetheart, I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Trent was under the impression that Claire had given him permission. Claire doesn't have permission to give, I interrupt. This property is in my name. Just mine. I bought it before we got married with money I saved. It's not a marital asset. Even if Claire wanted to let Trent move in, which she never actually said, by the way, she couldn't do it without my agreement. Richard's face is getting that particular shade of red that suggests his blood pressure is attempting to escape through his ears. Are you actually going to stand there and lecture me about property law? I've been practicing law for 40 years. Corporate law, I correct. You do mergers and acquisitions, not property disputes, and certainly not landlord-tenant law, which is what this would fall under if I was dumb enough to let Trent move in without a lease. The look Richard gives me could melt steel. I've seen this look before, usually right before he makes someone's life miserable. But here's the thing. I'm not one of his junior associates. I'm not someone who depends on him for a paycheck or a career. And I'm definitely not scared of him anymore. You're being selfish, Diane says, and she's got tears forming now. Actual tears. The woman could win an Oscar. Trent and Karen and those poor children need a place to stay. They have a place to stay, I counter. They own a house. A nice house, actually. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, decent yard. I've been there. Multiple times. Usually when Trent needed me to fix something he broke. They need space, Diane insists. The house is too small for them. The children are growing. They need room to play. They need to learn boundaries, I say flatly. And so does Trent. And apparently, so do you too, since you drove out here on a Sunday morning to try and bully me into letting your son freeload off me. Again, Richard's hand comes down hard on the porch railing. Now you listen here. No, I say, standing up now. I'm done sitting for this conversation. You listen. I have been accommodating. I have been patient. I have been the understanding brother-in-law for years. And what has it gotten me? Bald tires. $12,000 in bad investments. 5 months of Trent living on my couch. A credit score that's still recovering from co-signing his loan. Should I continue? Family helps family, Diane says weakly. Help goes both ways, I shoot back. When has Trent ever helped me? When has he ever considered what I might need or want? Name one time. Just one. Silence. Beautiful, damning silence. Richard recovers first, switching tactics. Fine. You want to play it this way? Then let me make something very clear, Marcus. You're part of this family, which means you're included in certain arrangements. Estate planning, inheritance, that sort of thing. Oh, here we go. The big guns. The inheritance threat. I've been waiting for this one. Are you threatening to write me out of your will? I ask, actually curious to see how far he'll take this. I'm saying that family loyalty is a two-way street, Richard says carefully, like he's crafting a legal argument. And those who don't support the family shouldn't expect the family to support them. I actually laugh. I can't help it. It just bursts out of me like a champagne cork. Richard, are you seriously threatening to cut me out of your estate because I won't let Trent squat in my lake house? I'm saying actions have consequences, Richard says stiffly. Okay, let's talk about your estate. I say, leaning against the porch post. You've got what, the house? Which is mortgaged. By the way, I saw the refinancing paperwork last Thanksgiving when you left it on the kitchen counter. You've got your 2002 Buick LeSabre that's currently worth maybe $3,000 if you find someone who's really into ironic car purchases. Oh, and let's not forget Diane's collection of ceramic cats. What's that up to now, 75? 80? Diane gasps like I've just insulted her children. Those are collectibles. They're dust magnets shaped like cats. I say, with all due respect, and I mean this sincerely, your estate is not the leverage you think it is. I make 6 figures. Claire makes 6 figures. We're doing fine. More than fine. We don't need your Buick or your ceramic cats or your heavily mortgaged house. Richard looks like he's about to have an aneurysm. How dare you? How dare I what? Point out reality? Look, I get it. You're used to being the big man, the important lawyer, the guy who makes decisions and everyone falls in line. But this isn't your courtroom, and I'm not your employee. This is my property, and you have absolutely zero authority here. Diane is full-on crying now, and I almost feel bad. But then I remember how she's enabled Trent's behavior for his entire adult life, how she's made excuses for every selfish thing he's ever done, how she's gaslit me into thinking I was the problem for not wanting to be a walking ATM. Those poor children, Diane sobs. They're going to be homeless. Homeless. Because you're too selfish to share. And this This right here is what finally makes me lose my carefully maintained cool. Homeless. I repeat, my voice sharp enough to cut glass. Homeless? They have a house. A perfectly good house that they own. And even if they didn't, there are these amazing places called hotels and apartments and literally anywhere else that isn't my property without my permission. Marcus, Diane starts. No, we're doing this now. You want to talk about those poor children? Let's talk about them. Those kids have been taught that they can take whatever they want without asking. That other people's property is community property. That boundaries don't matter if you really want something. What kind of life lesson is that? What happens when they grow up and try that with someone who isn't family? With a boss? With a landlord? With the police? You're being dramatic, Richard scoffs. Am I? Trent tried to move into my house without permission. When I stopped him, he threw furniture on my lawn like a toddler having a tantrum. And now you two are here threatening me with inheritance cuts and emotional manipulation because I had the audacity to say no. If that's not dysfunction, I don't know what is. McDonald's has a play place. I add, because apparently I'm on a roll now. The kids can go there. They'll be fine. They'll have chicken nuggets and a slide and zero chance of growing up thinking they're entitled to other people's property. Diane looks genuinely scandalized. You're comparing us to McDonald's? No. I'm saying your grandchildren will survive not living in my lake house. They might even thrive from learning that actions have consequences and you can't just take whatever you want. Richard is doing that thing where he puffs up his chest, trying to use his physical presence to intimidate me. It probably works great in boardrooms. Here, not so much. You're making a mistake, he says, his voice low and threatening. A big mistake. You think you can just cut off the family and face no consequences? You think Claire is going to choose you over her own blood. And there it is. The real threat. The one they've been building to this whole time. Why don't we call her and ask? I pull out my phone. Let's get Claire on the line right now and have her explain to you exactly what she told Trent. Because I'm betting it wasn't sure, move into the Lakehouse rent-free for an indefinite period. I'm betting it was something vague that Trent interpreted as permission because that's what he always does. Neither of them moves to take me up on that offer. Interesting. You're going to regret this, Richard says finally, turning to leave. Mark my words, Marcus. You're going to regret choosing property over family. Pretty sure I'm going to regret not doing this sooner. I call after him as he stalks back to his Cadillac. But hey, enjoy the drive back. Hope you didn't waste too much gas on this little intimidation attempt. Diane lingers for a moment. One last attempt at the guilt trip. When you have children of your own, Marcus, you'll understand. You'll understand what it means to want to protect them, to help them. I understand enabling. I interrupt quietly. I understand making excuses. I understand teaching your kids that they never have to take responsibility for their actions because mom and dad will always fix it. Is that really the legacy you want? She doesn't answer, just turns and follows Richard to the car, her ceramic cat collection secure for another day. I watch them drive away, tires spitting gravel, and I finally let out the breath I didn't know I was holding. My coffee's gone cold, but somehow, it still tastes like victory. 3 days. That's how long it takes for the next attack. 3 whole days of blissful silence where I actually start to think maybe, just maybe, everyone has finally gotten the message and decided to leave me alone. The contractors start work on Monday morning like clockwork. The sound of power tools and construction noise is music to my ears, and I'm genuinely starting to relax. Then Claire drops the bomb over Tuesday evening dinner. So, she says, pushing her chicken around her plate in that way that means she's about to say something I'm not going to like. My parents want us to come to a family meeting. Thursday night. At their place. I stop mid-chew. A family meeting. Yes. About the lake house. Probably. Hard pass. I say, going back to my chicken. Marcus. She sets down her fork. We have to go? They're really upset. Trent's really upset. Everyone thinks you're being unreasonable. Everyone can think whatever they want. I interrupt. I'm not going to another ambush where your family tries to bully me into giving Trent what he wants. Been there. Done that. Have the stress headache to prove it. It won't be like that, Claire says, but her voice lacks conviction. They promised it would be civil. They even invited Reverend Collins to mediate. I actually drop my fork. They're bringing the pastor? They're weaponizing Jesus. It's not weaponizing. It's absolutely weaponizing. I say, They're bringing in a religious authority figure to make me look like the bad guy for having boundaries. That's emotional manipulation with a side of spiritual guilt. It's like a combo meal of dysfunction. Claire looks miserable. Please, Marcus. Just come. One meeting. If it goes badly, we leave. I promise. And here's the thing about being married. Sometimes you do things you don't want to do because the person you love asks you to. Even when every fiber of your being is screaming that it's a trap. Fine, I say. One meeting. But when this goes sideways, and it will go sideways, I'm saying I told you so. Thursday evening arrives way too fast. I dress up, button-down shirt, nice pants, the works, because if I'm walking into an ambush, I'm at least going to look good doing it. Claire's nervous the whole drive over, which does nothing to ease my suspicion that this is going to be a disaster. We pull up to Richard and Diane's place at exactly 7 p.m. Trent's car is already there. So is a car I don't recognize, which must be Reverend Collins. Great. The gang's all here. Diane answers the door with a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. Marcus, Claire, thank you so much for coming. Everyone's in the living room. Of course they are. Because this is definitely not an ambush. We walk into the living room, and it's like a scene from a very uncomfortable TV drama. Richard's sitting in his favorite chair, looking like a judge about to pronounce sentence. Trent's on the couch, trying to look wounded and sympathetic. Karen's next to him, dabbing her eyes with a tissue even though I can see from here that they're completely dry. And in the center of it all, sitting in the good chair like he's about to moderate a UN peace summit, is Reverend Collins. Reverend Collins is a nice enough guy, honestly. Mid-60s, gray hair, kind eyes, the sort of pastor who genuinely seems to care about his congregation. I've got nothing against him personally, but right now, he's been recruited as a weapon, and that changes things. Marcus, Claire, please sit, Reverend Collins says warmly, gesturing to the love seat that's been strategically positioned so we're facing everyone else. It's like a courtroom setup, except the judge is wearing a clerical collar. We sit. Claire's gripping my hand so tight, I'm losing circulation. Thank you all for coming, Reverend Collins begins. I understand there's been some tension in the family regarding a property dispute, and Richard and Diane thought it might be helpful to have a neutral third party facilitate a conversation. Neutral, right? Because the pastor who's been counseling this family for 20 years and is personal friends with Richard and Diane is totally neutral. Now, I've heard some of the situation from Richard and Diane, Reverend Collins continues, but I'd like to hear from everyone. Marcus, would you like to share your perspective? It's a trap. The whole thing is a trap. But you know what? I'm tired of being quiet. Sure, I say, leaning back. Trent tried to move into my lake house without my permission. When I stopped him, he threw a tantrum. When that didn't work, his parents tried to threaten me with disinheritance. And now we're here, with a pastor, because apparently no is such a controversial concept in this family that it requires religious intervention. The room goes so quiet you could hear a pin drop, or a ceramic cat shatter. Either one. Reverend Collins clears his throat. I see. That's certainly one perspective. Trent, would you like to respond? Marcus is making it sound way worse than it was, Trent says, and I've got to hand it to him. He's really playing the victim card hard. I thought Claire had given us permission. There was a miscommunication. And instead of working with family, Marcus decided to be petty and vindictive about it. I decided to enforce basic property rights. I correct. There's a difference. Families shouldn't need property rights, Diane chimes in. Families should help each other. That's what the Bible teaches, doesn't it, Reverend? To help those in need. Oh, we're doing Bible verses now. Fantastic. Reverend Collins nods thoughtfully. The Bible does speak extensively about helping others and showing compassion. 1 John 3 verse 17 says, "If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person?" I wait to see if anyone's going to mention any of the other Bible verses. The ones about respecting boundaries, about not coveting what belongs to others, about bearing false witness. But apparently, we're cherry-picking our scripture tonight. Reverend Collins, I say, pulling out my phone. Do you mind if I show you something? Of course not. I pull up my photo gallery. These are photos from last summer. That's me at the Lakehouse, repairing storm damage. Alone. That's me rebuilding the dock. Alone. That's me painting the entire exterior. Also alone. I swipe through image after image. You know where everyone else was during this time? Cancun. Family vacation. That I wasn't invited to, by the way, because someone needed to watch the properties. I look up at Reverend Collins. So when we talk about family helping family, I just want to make sure we're acknowledging that it's been pretty one-directional so far. Trent shifts uncomfortably. Good. And while we're discussing biblical principles, I continue, warming to my theme. Let's talk about Exodus 20 verse 15. You shall not steal. Or how about Proverbs 22 verse 7? The borrower is slave to the lender. Trent has borrowed money from me that he's never repaid. He's borrowed my truck and returned it damaged. He's borrowed my couch for 5 months after lying about a fight with his wife. At what point does borrowing become stealing? Marcus, Reverend Collins says gently, I understand you're frustrated. Frustrated doesn't even begin to cover it. I interrupt. I'm tired. I'm tired of being the family ATM. I'm tired of being expected to share everything I've worked for with someone who's never once considered what I might need. I'm tired of being called selfish for having boundaries. But family, Diane starts. Family means mutual respect. I cut her off. It means reciprocity. It means asking before you take. None of which has been happening here. Reverend Collins is quiet for a moment, and I can see him processing. This clearly isn't going the way Richard and Diane planned. Good. Marcus, he finally says, what would you need to feel comfortable with this situation? What would reconciliation look like for you? It's actually a decent question. Maybe the first decent question anyone's asked me through this whole mess. Honestly, I lean forward. I need Trent to acknowledge what he's done. Not just the Lakehouse thing, all of it. The truck, the money, the couch, everything. I need a genuine apology, not a sorry you're upset non-apology. And I need to see actual change. Because I'm done being a doormat. That's not fair, Trent says. You're bringing up ancient history. Ancient history? I actually laugh. The truck thing was 3 years ago. The money was 18 months ago. The couch was 2 years ago. This isn't ancient history. This is a pattern. A pattern of you taking and me giving until I finally said no. See? Trent gestures at me wildly. This is what I'm talking about. He's keeping score. That's not what family does. You're right, I say calmly. Family doesn't keep score. But you know what else family doesn't do? They don't exploit each other. They don't take advantage. They don't assume that family means unlimited access to other people's stuff without consequences. Reverend Collins is looking uncomfortable now. Perhaps we should take a break. No, let's not. I say, standing up. Let's finish this right now. Reverend, with all due respect, you seem like a good man. But you're being used here. This isn't about spiritual guidance or family harmony. This is about manipulating me into giving Trent what he wants by using religious authority as leverage. Marcus, Diane gasps. It's true, I say. You brought him here to make me feel guilty. To make me feel like I'm being unchristian by having boundaries. But here's the thing. Nowhere in the Bible does it say I have to let people walk all over me in the name of family unity. I pull out another photo on my phone. This is a photo from the Lakehouse last week. See that storm damage I repaired? The new dock I built? The paint job? All of that cost money. My money. Money I earned from my job. And you know what's funny? Not one person in this room offered to help pay for it. Not one person offered to help with the labor. But the second I put in cameras and hired contractors to make it even better, suddenly everyone wants access. Reverend Collins is actually looking at Richard and Diane now with questions in his eyes. Maybe this wasn't such a bad idea after all. Family harmony is important, I continue. But it can't come at the expense of one person's dignity. It can't mean one person gives everything and everyone else takes. That's not harmony. That's just exploitation with a nice label. The silence that follows is deafening. Trent's not making eye contact. Karen's tissue is getting a real workout now. Richard looks like he's about to burst a blood vessel. And Reverend Collins? He's looking at this family with new eyes. I think, Reverend Collins says slowly, that Marcus raises some valid points. Family support should indeed go both ways. And while I appreciate the spirit of generosity, I don't believe anyone should be pressured into. Thank you for your time, Reverend, I say, taking Claire's hand. But I think we're done here. Claire stands with me. And that, more than anything else I've said tonight, seems to shock the room into silence. Marcus is right, she says quietly. I should have said something sooner. Trent, you can't just take his stuff. Mom, Dad, You can't just expect him to go along with everything. This has to stop. We walk out of that house hand in hand, leaving behind a pastor, two shocked parents, and one very deflated freeloader. And for the first time in years, Claire and I are actually on the same page. You'd think after the pastor incident, Trent would have finally gotten the message. You'd think that having a religious authority figure basically admit that maybe, just maybe, Marcus has a point would have been enough to make him reconsider his life choices. You'd think wrong. It's been 2 weeks since the family meeting disaster. 2 peaceful weeks where the contractors have been making incredible progress on the Lakehouse. New plumbing is in, electrical's been upgraded, the floors have been completely redone. The place is gutted down to the studs in most rooms, and it's absolutely beautiful in that this is going to be amazing when it's done kind of way. I'm there on a Saturday afternoon, meeting with the contractor to discuss tile options for the bathrooms, when my phone pings. It's the security system. Motion detected at front entrance. I pull up the camera feed, expecting to see a deer or maybe the UPS guy delivering supplies. Instead, I see Trent's SUV pulling up to the construction barrier. Again. You've got to be kidding me, I mutter. My contractor, a guy named Dave who's seen some stuff in his 30 years of renovation work, looks over my shoulder at the screen. That the brother-in-law? Yep. The one who tried to move in. The very same. Dave shakes his head. Man, I've seen family disputes over renovations before, but this is something else. Want me to call the cops? Let's see what he does first. I say, watching the screen. I'm curious how deep this hole is going to get. On camera, Trent gets out of his SUV. He's alone this time. No Karen, no kids, no moving truck. He's also carrying something in his hand that glints in the afternoon sun. He walks right up to the construction barrier, and instead of stopping like a reasonable human being, he starts moving the cones. Oh, he's committed, Dave observes. That's bold. Stupid, but bold. Trent clears a path through the cones and gets back in his SUV. He actually drives onto the property, right past all the no trespassing and construction zone signs, and parks directly in front of the house like he owns the place. My phone pings again. Unauthorized vehicle detected on property. Alert sent to property owner and local authorities. Your system called the cops automatically? Dave asks, impressed. Worth every penny I paid for it. I say, still watching the screen. Trent gets out of the SUV and marches toward the front door. That's when I realize what he's holding. It's a key. An old key that I recognize because it used to be the spare key to the Lakehouse. The one I had made years ago. The one that Claire must have given him at some point when I wasn't paying attention. Oh, this is going to be good. I say, pulling up the interior camera feeds. Dave and I watch as Trent confidently strides up to the front door. He's got this expression on his face like he's finally won something. Like he's outsmarted me. Like this old key is his golden ticket to victory. He slides the key into the lock. Nothing happens. He jiggles it. Tries again. Still nothing. That's because 3 days after Sunday dinner, I had every lock in the Lakehouse replaced with a smart lock system. That old key might as well be trying to open a spaceship. On screen, I can see Trent's confusion morphing into frustration. He's really working that key now, trying to force it. The smart lock, bless its electronic heart, just sits there being impervious to his efforts. Then Trent does something incredibly stupid. He starts pounding on the door, yelling something I can't hear, but can definitely read from his body language. Something along the lines of "This is my family's house," mixed with various creative interpretations of my character. Should we head out there? Dave asks. Give it a minute, I say. I want to see how far he takes this. Trent gives up on the key and tries the doorknob. The smart lock does its thing. I can see the little LED light flash red. Unauthorized entry attempt. Another alert pings on my phone. This is where it gets really interesting. Trent, in his infinite wisdom, decides that if the front door won't open, he'll try the back door. We watch on the cameras as he trudges around the side of the house, past piles of construction materials and debris, muttering to himself the whole way. The back door has the same smart lock system. Same result. Red light. No entry. Trent is visibly angry now. His face is red. His movements are jerky, and I can practically see the steam coming out of his ears even through the security footage. He tries his key again, jiggles the handle, starts shouting at the door like it personally insulted his mother. Then, and this is where it crosses from annoying to actually illegal, Trent picks up a rock from the landscaping and raises it toward the window. Okay, that's our cue. I say to Dave, and we head outside. We make it around the side of the house, just as Trent is winding up for his window-smashing attempt. I wouldn't do that if I were you, I call out cheerfully. Trent spins around, rock still in hand, looking like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Except the cookie jar is my house, and the cookies are my property rights. Marcus, thank God, he actually has the audacity to look relieved. Something's wrong with the locks. My key won't work. Can you let me in? I just need to grab some measurements for furniture. Trent, I interrupt, my voice deadly calm. Put down the rock. He looks at the rock like he forgot he was holding it. Oh, this? I was just about to commit vandalism. I suggest breaking and entering, property destruction. Pick your felony, man. The cameras caught all of it. The rock drops from his hand like it's suddenly radioactive. Cameras, multiple cameras, I confirm. All recording to secure cloud storage. All time-stamped. All admissible in court if it comes to that. Dave is standing behind me, arms crossed, looking very much like a guy who's built like a brick wall and doesn't appreciate people trying to break into houses he's renovating. I just wanted to see the progress. Trent stammers, his whole confident facade crumbling faster than my old drywall. Claire said it would be okay. Claire doesn't have a key to the new locks, I say, because Claire understands the concept of asking permission. Something you seem constitutionally incapable of understanding. You can't keep me out of family property. Trent's voice is rising now, that desperate edge creeping in. This is our lake house. Family property. You can't just lock everyone out. It's my property. I correct, pulling up my phone to show him the deed that I keep a digital copy of specifically for moments like this. See? Marcus Chun. Just my name. Not Marcus and Claire. Not Marcus and Claire's extended family. Just me. This is MY House, and you are trespassing. Trent's face is cycling through emotions faster than a slot machine. Anger, disbelief, desperation, and finally, something that looks almost like panic. You're really going to do this? He asks, and his voice cracks a little. You're really going to choose a house over family? I'm choosing boundaries over entitlement, I say. And if you can't tell the difference, that's not my problem. That's when we hear the sirens. The smart lock's automatic alert has brought the cavalry, and from the sound of it, they're about 30 seconds away. Trent hears them too. His eyes go wide. You called the cops? On family. I didn't have to. I say, gesturing to the smart lock on the door. The system did it automatically when you try to break in. Twice. With cameras recording. While I have no trespassing signs posted. After you moved construction barriers and drove onto private property without authorization. Dave lets out a low whistle. Man, you really committed to this, huh? The police cruiser pulls up, and 2 officers get out. They look at the scene, the construction site, the no trespassing signs, Trent standing there looking guilty as hell, and me with my phone showing camera footage of the whole incident. Afternoon, officers, I say calmly. Thanks for responding so quickly. This man, I gesture to Trent, just attempted to force entry into my home using an old key that no longer works. When that failed, he was about to break a window with that rock there. I point to the incriminating rock on the ground. That's not. I wasn't. Trent sputters. Officer, this is a family misunderstanding. This is my brother-in-law's house, and I just... Do you have permission to be here? The first officer asks. Well, not exactly, but... Has the property owner asked you to leave? Yes, but we're family. Sir, the officer says, his patience clearly wearing thin. Family relationship doesn't override property law. If the owner has asked you to leave and you haven't, that's trespassing. If you attempted to force entry, that's attempted breaking and entering. Trent looks at me desperately. Marcus, come on. You're not really going to press charges, are you? I'm your wife's brother. And here's the moment. The moment where old Marcus would have backed down, made excuses, let it slide because family. The moment where I would have swallowed my anger and my rights and my dignity just to keep the peace. But old Marcus died somewhere between the bald tires and the ceramic cat threats. Yes, I say simply. I am. What? Trent looks like I just slapped him. I want to press charges. Trespassing. Attempted breaking and entering. Whatever else applies. I have video evidence of all of it. Time-stamped, date-stamped, crystal clear footage from multiple angles. I pull up my phone and show the officers the footage. Trent moving the construction barriers. Trent trying to force the locks. Trent picking up the rock. All of it, documented in glorious high definition. The second officer shakes his head. Yeah, that's pretty clear cut. Sir, he turns to Trent. I'm going to need you to put your hands behind your back. You're arresting me? Trent's voice is a full octave higher than normal. You committed multiple crimes on camera, the officer says flatly. So yes. Watching Trent get handcuffed in my driveway while Dave takes a not-so-subtle photo for the insurance records is probably the most satisfying moment of my entire life. Trent's still sputtering, still trying to explain that this is all a misunderstanding, that we're family, that Marcus is being unreasonable. The officers aren't buying it. Marcus, Trent shouts as they walk him to the cruiser. Marcus, please. Think about Claire. Think about the family. I did think about the family, I call back. That's why I'm teaching you that actions have consequences. You're welcome. The cruiser pulls away, Trent visible through the back window, and the construction site falls into blissful silence. Dave claps me on the shoulder. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I once watched a guy accidentally demo the wrong house. Thanks, I say, taking a deep breath of Trent-free air. Now, where were we? Something about bathroom tiles. Right? Dave grins. Though honestly, after that show, I don't know if I can focus on tiles. That was better than cable. My phone starts ringing. It's Claire. Time to face the music. 6 weeks later, the Lakehouse is finished. And when I say finished, I mean it's absolutely stunning. We're talking marble countertops, a state-of-the-art kitchen, spa bathroom, and a home gym where Trent wanted to put his man cave. The place looks like it belongs in Architectural Digest, not a family drama. I'm standing on the deck, admiring the view, when I hear gravel crunching. Richard and Diane's cars. Of course. They couldn't resist seeing what all their drama couldn't stop me from building. They walk through without a word, just staring. The gym equipment gleams in the sunlight. The home office, complete with standing desk and everything, sits where Trent planned his master suite. Every inch of this place screams, Marcus won. It looks incredible, Diane finally admits, her voice small. Thanks, I say casually. Turns out, not having freeloaders really helped the budget. Richard clears his throat. Perhaps we were hasty in our approach. You think? Claire appears beside me, slipping her hand into mine. It's beautiful, Marcus. You did amazing. For the first time in months, her family has nothing to say. No demands. No guilt trips. Just silent acknowledgement that they backed the wrong horse. Guess all that space worked out better for me than your family of freeloaders. I say with a smile. Nobody argues. 2 months after the arrest, I'm hosting a party at the Lakehouse. Real friends this time. People who actually ask before they borrow things. Revolutionary concept, I know. We're grilling on the deck, laughing, enjoying the sunset over the water. My buddy Jake raises his beer. To Marcus, who finally learned that no is a complete sentence. Hear, hear, everyone cheers. My phone buzzes. Text from Trent. We need to talk. I show it to Claire. She rolls her eyes. What does he want now? I type back. Sure. Bring dessert. And a rent check. 3 dots appear. Then disappear. Then nothing. Think he'll actually show up? Claire asks. Doesn't matter. I say, putting my phone away. The Lakehouse has new locks, new rules, and a brand new policy. No freeloaders allowed. Jake grins. What changed, man? You used to let everyone walk all over you. I look out at the sunset, at my friends, at my property that's finally just mine. I renovated more than the house. I renovated my boundaries. Deep, Jake laughs. Shut up and pass the burgers. Funny thing about boundaries, build them strong enough, and even Trent can't knock them down.